Next on Meet the Farmer TV, we'll connect the dots of a local food system from a food pantry perspective.
It was important to have members of the community be able to access fresh vegetables for everyone. So in preparing the garden, I met Reggie, and we decided that we would have a single plot, and we would dedicate that plot and all the vegetables that come from that plot to the Helping Hands food pantry of the Township of Teaneck.
Since the first seeds were planted literally, like it was always part of our mission that anything that grew here was going to go to the food Helping Hand and other food pantries, that we have years of history of collecting food, you know, food drives, canned goods, things like that.
Here we are at the Teaneck Community Gardens, where we grow food for the Helping Hands food pantry. Let me show you around. I'm going to show you first what my garden is. No, the Helping Hands food pantry garden. I call all of it mine. All right, okay. This is like a 16 by 16 plot, and there are 100 of them out here. From the farm to the plate. You've seen it grow, you know what it looks like, and you can smell it, and pretty soon you'll be able to taste it. My man, okay.
So tell us about Helping Hands Food Pantry.
When I co-founded Helping Hands Food Pantry with Pastor Dan, the vision was based around the common good of the community, working together to provide food for those in need. Teaneck's Food Pantry is a vehicle for the community to work together. In this case, religious organizations and the Township Community Garden have united through the nonprofit organization Helping Hands Food Pantry, not only to provide some of the basic necessities and staples, but also to grow fresh produce.
There's nothing like it. Smell great. You can't beat it. You can eat these raw.
If you think about it, this is a powerful lead-by-example model that other communities can duplicate. As our dear friend, the late Mayor Lizette Parker said, food is a common denominator.
Hello, I'm the Mayor of Teaneck, and I'd like to welcome you to Teaneck Farmers Market, where food is the common denominator.
We can tell you through experience that the work with the local food system has been a great beginning for the Township of Teaneck to work together as a whole community in ways that really make a difference. There are many more things that you could do, so get involved, volunteer, grow some food. When food is allowed to ripen on the vine instead of while being transported from faraway places, it tastes better and it's healthier for you and the environment. We started the Helping Hand Food Pantry in about 2008 when the world really fell apart. People that were successful were finding themselves out of jobs, were driving fancy cars, but yet couldn't afford the rent, couldn't afford buying food, and Pastor Dan and I got together and built the food pantry together. Our food pantry has been wildly successful. We have over 100 families a week that come. We're bursting at the seams. We need more space. We need more days, more volunteers. Providing seeds is very similar to the old adage of give someone a fish and they'll eat for a day, teach them how to fish and they'll eat for a lifetime. Our food pantry serves all types of people from all different backgrounds, races, religions, colors, creeds. And not only that, our volunteers come from all different types of backgrounds as well. And when you see these cultures working together, these different religions working together, these different races working together in harmony for the better and greater good of the community.
And this is all the food pantry, a garden. Everything coming out of here is going up there. On the vines, you'll see, you can zoom in on them. I learned a little trick about the vines, growing the plants this year. If you look at the tomato plant, from there up, the vines are gone. I mean, the leaves are gone. I was told by an Asian fellow over here in the other garden, he said if you cut the bottom leaves off, you'll get all the energy, he called it, going up to the main stalk. And you want that to be tough. So that's something you can use. I'm using it this year in an experiment, and it seems to be working. I'm getting more fruit.
it's a model that other people can learn from. Teaneck is a very diverse community made up of many different races, religions, colors. And the food pantry is a small microcosm of everyone coming together to help serve the greater needs of the entire community. There are many ways that our residents can get involved in helping out at the food pantry. While we get a lot of requests for people to come in and help put together the bags or give out food, there's a lot of behind the scenes that is required in order to get to that stage. We need people to go and pick up some of the food. We get donations from many of our local merchants, and we are not able to go and pick those donations up. We have food drives, and we need help getting those drives collected, organized. We are always in need of funding, and we need people to help fundraise. Administrative positions. So there's so much that goes into that day when our residents pull up with their vehicle looking for food. The concept of working together, your leadership and your volunteerism is what really is going to make the difference, not just for the food pantry, but for the entire community. So get involved. What are you waiting for?
Joining us today on Meet the Farmer TV is Janice Preschel, the director of Helping Hands Food Pantry from Teaneck, New Jersey, and Renee Rodriguez, the treasurer. Hey, Renee and Janice, this is Mike Clark. What's happening there?
Hi, Farmer Michael. How are you?
How you doing, Michael? Well, Michael, today I just received an anonymous letter in the mail, and Janice doesn't even know about it. I'm going to read it to her right now. It came in, has no return address, and I opened it up, and as you can see, it's a yellow piece of paper with cash in it, and there's 250s and 520s, $200. So I'm going to read the letter to Janice. It says, "Dear Helping Hands Food Pantry, thank you for all that you do. God has and always is mighty, and I am so grateful for His grace. To that end, I would like to extend His love in some way. Please accept this donation to the wonderful work that you do in His love, ... Then it says John 3:16. No signature, no nothing. That's it. What a wonderful, wonderful gift to the Helping Hands Food Pantry."
It's another example of our community getting involved. You know, it's strictly anonymous with nothing in return.
So you're touching a lot of people that might not otherwise get this sort of assistance, and you're making it possible for the production of local produce to get into the hands of people in need.
It's a wonderful gift. We appreciate all of our donations, but the idea of getting something totally anonymous where we can turn that $200 into a lot more groceries, if you will, for people, because we shop at the Community Food Bank of New Jersey, where we pay pennies on the dollar for different items there, and we also shop in our local supermarkets for items that are on sale. We never pay full price for anything.
Well, that's terrific. Tell us more about how local farmers and producers in your area are supporting you.
We are very blessed to have Reggie and Hazel, who are our local farmers who have a plot with the town. We have town gardens, and people have different plots. Reggie and Hazel have their own plot, plus they have a separate large one where the food comes straight to the food pantry, and they deliver it.
This is like a 16 by 16 plot. And there are 100 of them, 100 of them out here. And each gardener has a 16 by 16 plot.
We get items from the spring up until the first frost. It's a joke with Reggie and Hazel that we've stopped saying goodbye to them at the end of the season because they end up pushing the crop that much longer and keep coming back. In addition, we are blessed to have a garden at my temple, Temple Emeth in New Jersey, in Teaneck, where our garden club also donates to the food pantry. And Julie, who is our head farmer there, if you will, she has picked up different items. She'll bring it in, like broccoli rabe and Swiss chard, and she'll write a recipe or different ways of how to prepare the food on the baggie that she puts it in. And it's been neat. That comes to us on Thursday evenings, and I've had people walk in and say, oh, I never knew how to make that, so I didn't get it. And they've tried new things. You know, it can be as simple as sauteing it in oil or preparing with other items, but it's been nice. So people are learning how to prepare different items. We've also found that people coming in during the day sometimes will ask about different things, and I like to cook and bake. Carol's a great cook as well, and June, and we end up sharing recipes, in a sense, a very simple recipe, but nonetheless you start talking about how to prepare different items. And it's a nice exchange with people.
Well, that's terrific. What do you think is the one thing you need the most to do even more?
What food items do we need the most?
Well, food items or volunteers, money, support, refrigeration, anything. What's just the one thing that seems to be standing in the way of you doing an even better job of reaching out to the local people in need?
Okay. I mean, the things that we need the most to help out vary. I mean, each week we do give out cereal, pasta, pasta sauce, vegetables. Like I said, during the summer, we've been blessed to be able to give out fresh vegetables and oftentimes fresh fruit as well. But we do have canned vegetables and canned fruit as a backup. We also give out peanut butter and jelly, which is costly, pancake mix and syrup. And now that we're involved with the community food bank, we're able to give out meat. So chicken and beef, which has been a blessing. We also give out canned tuna fish or canned chicken each week. There's always protein, and there's soup and beans. I'm missing a few other items. We varied a little, but we also give out the same staples as well. Large families will get a few extra items in their bags. This week we're giving out soda, which was donated from a market research company in town. They actually donate a lot of things to us. During the winter, we were very fortunate to get cough medicine from them. We've also had diapers for infants and Depends for some of our adult members that need a little assistance as well. You know, that helps. All this stuff costs money. So if we're able to give out an item, like I said, that's not necessarily food, then my hope is that people have that money that they didn't need to spend on toiletries, that they can go and get fresh meat or fish or poultry, you know, whatever they need to sustain their family. And for some people, that might be that extra money was used to keep the lights on. You know, despite that we're in Bergen County, which is a very prosperous county, Teaneck is a fairly prosperous community as well. But you know what? Everybody needs help. The people that come to the food pantry don't come here to save a few dollars at the grocery store. They come here because they truly need the supplemental food. In addition to fresh produce, we can always use healthy cereal, pasta sauce, beans. We're very good with canned vegetables right now, but we will need it throughout the winter. Canned fruit, peanut butter and jelly. You know, and then we have different bonus items that we give because people donate what they like. And a lot of the schools, they ask the children to donate food that they like to eat. Not to take the spinach from the shelf that the kids might not want, but their favorite items. So it brings a nice variety to us. Everything we get is used as long as it's current with its expiration date.
Janice, would you tell us some more about the produce-related organizations and other individuals that are helping you out there in the Helping Hands Food Pantry?
Absolutely. For fresh produce, like I said, Reggie and Hazel take care of the plot that they were given by the town, and there are other farmers there as well that novice farmers, you know, hobby farmers, I should say, not novice, and they also will give Reggie items.
This is a friend of mine's too. This is another one. She this year contributed, I think, 4 or 5 tomato plants and some collard green seeds, and okra, in fact. I didn't show you the okra. I missed the garden, another one that I'm working. But this is a good friend, and She also will contribute some. That's collard greens right there. She'll contribute again this year because she has an abundance. But very willing. This is the plot I was talking about. And I've never seen nobody grow more tomatoes than I've seen grow here. This is a bunch in here now. And what she just told me, she said, Reggie, today, she said, I'm not going away this year, I'll be here. But she said she'd contribute anyway.
They have a basket at the garden so that if there's more than they can use, they put it in the basket and Reggie and Hazel bring it to us. Julie brings everything over from the Temple Emeth garden, and we also receive produce occasionally from Congregation Beth Shalom, also in Teaneck, and they supply us with a number of volunteers that have, some of the kids that have been with us for 3 and 4 years. We're very fortunate that way. In addition to that, we receive bread and pastries from Balthazar Bake Shop in Englewood. We've had them for almost since we started, almost 6 years ago, that one of our recipients worked there, and he saw that we were low on bread, and he commented to one of our workers that we could get stuff from there, and he literally waited till we were finished and said, we have to go right now, and he introduced me to the people in charge of Balthazar, who were thrilled. They said they had wanted to donate and just didn't have the time to reach out to places. So they have been donating to us ever since. We're open on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and every Monday and Wednesday evening, we have volunteers that go over there and pick up the bread and dessert. It's amazing. It's very high quality food that goes to all the high-end restaurants in Manhattan and throughout New Jersey. We also get baked goods from Stop and Shop, our local supermarket, from their bakery. And that happened that the manager of the bake shop at the time, also 6 years ago, so that after it was day old, they were supposed to throw it out. And she thought that was a terrible waste, knowing full well that people are hungry. And so she worked it out with different organizations in town to come on different days. So we get from them on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We also get fresh bagels from Teaneck Road Hot Bagels, the best bagel place in town. And we get from them on Monday night when they close, on Wednesday night when they close, and Thursday, because we're open Thursday evening, we pick up the bagels on the way back to our evening hours. So we're really very fortunate that way. And then Precision Market Research, who is a company also in town, when we reached out a few years ago for different donations for Thanksgiving, they came through and said, okay, we've got some stuff for you, but why just the holidays? We can help year round. There's another IT company in town, LK, that their employees come over once a month. They bring different items to us, that they do a food drive there. Covenant Life Ministries, a church down the block, they donate to us every month as well. So it's really a community effort. We have the Rotary Club of Teaneck, of which I'm a member. They donate, members donate there. We do food drives at the holidays, and they made a very generous cash donation to us, as well as the Moose Lodge, which is next door to the pantry here. They donate to us every month. And we're very fortunate for their cash donations. They've also been around before when I was bringing in groceries and the guys came over and helped carry things. So we are truly very fortunate. We've got a great community going here. You know, people help out.
Do you think that people would have the same sort of community if there weren't local farmers bringing local food in?
Do you think that makes something special different?
The local farmers definitely makes a difference for us. As a matter of fact, we have a farmers market for a few months. It goes till October. And at the farmers market, they collect food for the food pantry, and that comes over to us on Thursday evenings. You know, in addition to, like I said, from the gardens, we have other people that donate. Reggie and Hazel, who bring over the garden, not only did they bring us the fresh produce, but their church was looking to do something over the summer to help out. And Reggie and Hazel came to us and asked what we could use. And I thought it would be nice, you know, we always want to have extra food for families that have children in school. During the school year, a lot of these kids are eligible for free or reduced lunch and sometimes breakfast. During the summer, they're home, so the parents don't have that extra support. So through Reggie and Hazel's church, we were able to give out extra bags of food for them that had healthy cereal, healthy snacks, and juice, and it was a whole neat different thing. And the kids there decorated the bags, so it looked really nice. And I'll tell you, we had parents coming in with their children to get their food, and we were able to give them a bag of food designed just for them. The kids were excited. It was a very nice piece. You know, we're very fortunate that we have gardens at local houses of worship, gardens in the township.
If there are other local farmers or growers in your area that would like to donate local produce to you, give us an idea how they could get in touch with you.
Well, they can always call us and email us through the church. But also there's a program, I believe it's nationwide, called Ample Harvest. And we are registered with them, and I've gotten items. I haven't gotten anything from them this summer, but last summer we did, and the summer before that. So that people are able to share. Friends of mine in the Rotary Club have had extra produce that they have also brought over.
Well, that's terrific. Is there a phone number or website we should list for them?
The website is teaneckpantry.com, or we're on Facebook at Teaneck Pantry / Helping Hands Food Pantry. So if people have questions or would like to contact us, there's two ways that they can reach out to us: through Councilman Eli Katz, which is 201-715-5179. You can always reach us through email at teaneckpantry@aol.com. Okay. Yeah, the one thing that I would like to add is how fortunate we are with our volunteers. We have adult volunteers from the community and also from the church here, the Teaneck Assembly of God, as well as student volunteers who come from public schools. So we have our youngest volunteer now is going into middle school, and we have another volunteer, 2 volunteers going into high school, one in the town school, and we have other students that go to Jewish day school. So it's one of my favorite parts of the program, is working with the youth and seeing how oftentimes they come in for community service, they have a few hours that they need, and they end up staying. We have Dahlia is 16. She came to us in preparation for becoming a bat mitzvah, and she's been here for 3.5 years. Nick, same thing. He's been here 2 years. Chase has been here 2 years. Jonah's going on 2 years, and we have other students that come in. We have students that come in specifically for food drives and different events throughout the town. You know, we're also very fortunate that the Teaneck Police and the Teaneck Auxiliary Police do a food drive for us before Thanksgiving, that they stand outside the supermarket. Not only do we get an amazing amount of food, but people give them, for us, gift cards to the supermarket. And we use that throughout the year to supplement items that we might need that don't get donated. We are really very fortunate. I'm grateful to the police, to North Jersey Media Group that has a food drive throughout New Jersey. In the fall, it's the first week in October. And the letter carriers do a food drive the second Saturday in May. And those 3 food drives are tremendous for us, in addition to all the food drives that we have from the local schools and community organizations. We are truly very blessed. We're the people that the recipients see coming in, but it really does take an entire community to keep food on the table for everybody. Okay, so it's just here at Helping Hands Food Pantry how we connect the local food dots. And we are truly the recipients and very fortunate and appreciative to everything that we receive from our community.
Thank you so much, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Farmer Mike.
All right, Janice, that's really great. How about you take us and show us some of the gardens and farmers that are providing you with fresh produce?
Oh, that's terrific. I'd be happy to take you over to see the garden from Hazel and Reggie, and then we can also go over to my congregation, to Temple Emeth, and see our garden there.
All right, let's go.
Let me tell you how it worked out with the community gardens and how Reggie got involved with the community gardens. Probably about 3 or 4 years ago, we decided that we should implement an initiative to improve our community gardens. This is a location where we probably had about 90 plots of land, approximately 15 by 20 or 30 pieces of land, and residents would have a plot and be able to plant a garden on each plot. We decided to make a considerable investment in the plots. We renovated the entire garden, and after we renovated the entire garden area, we decided that it was important to have members of the community be able to access fresh vegetables for everyone. So in preparing the garden, I met Reggie, and we decided that we would have a single plot, and we would dedicate that plot and all the vegetables that come from that plot to the Helping Hands food pantry of the Township of Teaneck.
Right here, you're looking at some zucchini. You might have seen some earlier in the basket we're taking over. I just picked these, so you won't see any green ones in here right now. Whoa, wait a minute, a surprise hidden out. Okay.
I originally started working the garden myself with a couple members of my staff. We did it on our own time. But working a garden is very difficult, and it takes a lot of time, and it does take knowledge. So we got Reggie involved. Reggie decided that that he would work the garden himself, and he would use his skills as a master gardener to try to get the highest production out of the plot of land, so that the residents of Teaneck and the users of the pantry would be able to avail themselves of fresh fruit and vegetables. So that's kind of the story, and it's been going on for well over a year and a half now. We've been able to provide the Helping Hands pantry with many pounds of fresh fruit, tomatoes, zucchini, string beans, and other vegetables for those who are using the pantry. And I think that the people in the community are really appreciative of the efforts of Reggie and other people that may be helping him in the garden, who are able to provide the pantry with fresh food. Unfortunately, we have residents in town who need to avail themselves of the food pantry. They may not have sufficient funds at the time to provide themselves and their family with enough food and fresh food and vegetables. So the township partnered or is partnering with the food pantry, and it's literally costing the township zero to partner with the food pantry to provide these fresh fruits and vegetables. The only thing that the township is doing is providing a piece of land, and from that piece of land we are yielding a tremendous amount of fresh vegetables for those families who need to use the pantry. Now it's important. It's important to me. It's important to me as a township manager. It's important to me as a human being that everyone in our community is able to eat, and that their basic need of food is met. And through this community garden, we are able to accomplish that goal of making sure that every single person in the community is able to eat. We also have a program that our mayor has championed, and the Township Council has been championing, is the Let's Move program. In the township, we're trying to get the younger kids involved and get people moving, and this food pantry initiative and providing these fresh vegetables for family goes hand in hand with the Let's Move program. Having fresh fruits and vegetables allows people to eat healthier. It allows people to live a more healthy life. It allows them to lose weight, thereby creating a healthier community, which in turn will reduce costs for health care and other government expenses. So we think it's very important that we continue to provide this pantry with fresh vegetables for families, and that it's done at such a low cost for the township, that we want to encourage everyone with a garden to take notice of the Helping Hands Food Pantry and to donate vegetables to this pantry in the township of Teaneck. Okay, earlier I mentioned about growing fresh fruits and vegetables and how healthy it is for each of us. But I want to place a specific emphasis on community. If you have an extra piece of land that you're not using, make a garden. Grow something fresh and healthy for yourself. It's about community as well. If you know a neighbor, an elderly neighbor, or a physically challenged neighbor, grow something healthy for them. Provide them with some good, healthy vegetables. Okay? It's about community. It's about good health.
Part of the garden?
Well, actually, that's a really interesting story. But we have our school building is used during the week by the Bergenfield Board of Education for a special ed program that they run. And one of the gals, this was their first year, and one of the gals in the program has, throughout her career, used, cultivating plants, with these kids with these kinds of disabilities. And so she asked if there was a way that they could garden somewhere on the property. And we were like, well, I don't know about digging anything up, but we have these tubs. Do you want a few? Because that was our first garden, was in those tubs, before we had all of that.
I asked because there were 2 rabbits by those tubs over there when I got out of my car.
Good, let them stay there.
They weren't eating it, just the grass though. But I got a shot of them in the tubs.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that part of the multi-generational part of the garden?
The rabbits?
No, those kids.
Oh, yes. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so how did this garden come to be here? Really, it was the vision, actually, of a long-time Temple member and past president, Jackie Gutman. And I don't know actually how long she was nursing that idea, but about 5 years ago she sensed that there was some critical mass, and she gathered a few people together that I guess it had just come up in conversations or by word of mouth that she knew might be interested in something. She's also very active on, we have a social action committee here, and she's very active on it, and the garden actually is part of the social action. It's a project of the social action committee here. So Jackie and her husband Howard actually funded whatever was needed for this garden to be here, because one of the caveats is everybody's budgets are strapped, so it can't cost any money. So they really were the initiators of the garden. It fit well within things that our social action committee was doing already, which the chair of that committee, Eva Sandroff, is here too. I don't know if she'll want to speak to it, but for instance, we do things like we host twice a year. We host Family Promise, a shelter here for families 2 weeks a year, and all the temple members are volunteer for all of that. And ever since it was the garden, since the first seeds were planted, literally, like it was always part of our mission that anything that grew here was going to go to the Food Helping Hand and other food pantries. That we have years of history of collecting food, you know, food drives, canned goods, things like that. But this was became a really good opportunity also to use the garden to bring issues of local local food systems in general, food justice, and we have been able to have programs in our religious school, you know, at various different age levels, where we get the kids out here actually planting things and harvesting things, where we go into the classroom and we discuss, you know, what makes food good. And we address it from, you know, from our faith's perspective, from a nutrition perspective, and it's really amazing. The kids actually don't. It's amazing to me how little education sometimes they need. They know a lot, actually. From myself personally and my lifelong involvement in, you know, a collectively owned vegetarian restaurant, managing food co-op, my business life is involved in food, that there are parts of the country that are what are called food deserts. Some of them here in northern Jersey, I mean some very close by, where people do not have access to nutritious food. You know, there are communities where the only place you can buy food is in like a 7-Eleven type place. And so one of the ways that people who are who don't have the means to travel to you know, to 2 towns over to a supermarket, or who are relying on food pantries for supplementing their diets, often they don't. There's if you go into the food pantry, there's lots of canned good. The bakeries always donate a lot of stuff, but there's not a whole lot of fresh vegetables. And so it seemed like a really important hole to fill, and so that's why we donate these tomatoes, all these red tomatoes that you see here. They'll be over at Helping Hand by tomorrow night. Also, for instance, last year, the whole entire religious school took a trip to Hunterdon County to this a farm called Grow-A-Row, where they rely on volunteer help from various organizations, and all the food gets donated to the New Jersey Food Bank. And so, and they also, you know, did a lot of education. And when we left Grow-A-Row, they allowed us to keep a box of the beans that our kids picked. And those were, you know, delivered to the food pantry. And I know we're not the only congregation doing that with Helping Hand. And I know that a lot of other faith-based groups in Bergen County are doing it, not necessarily with Helping Hand, but with other, you know, there are other food pantries too. So there's a lot of it going on around here, and it's just like a matter of like connecting the dots and, you know, helping everybody know all along the way, you know, where it's going and why it's important that it's going there, and finding the opportunities to connect and to finding those educational. Oh, I remember what I couldn't remember before, why a temple would be doing this, and I think Rabbi Serbu probably can quote the chapter and verse, but we are commanded actually to not to harvest the corners of our fields. That's in the Torah. And so this is the corner of our field, of our temple field, that is for, you know, reaping by people who need it more than we do. So that's the other why.
I was there when Jackie proposed the garden, and the reason she said that was that her parents, her father particularly, I think
He had a victory. They had a victory garden
during World War II, and it was maybe a community garden. I don't remember all the details of that, but it was something that she remembers very fondly. And hopefully some of the kids who do this will remember it fondly when they get to be our age.
And you just actually even just reminded me that there are a lot of pieces to this, and I think we mentioned, there's the social action piece and how it fits in with the all the food that we collect for food drives, but also the intergenerational piece was a lot of times the activities, the planned activities in the structure of our temple does not allow for a lot of interaction between the kids and families that are involved in our religious school and members that maybe don't have kids in religious school anymore. And so the garden has been one activity in the temple where we have kids and older people and much older people, working side by side, and we want it also to be accessible. I think that's still a work in progress. We have one raised bed, and we have plans for an elevated bed that hasn't been built yet, but we definitely always had the idea that people with different levels of physical ability would still be able to enjoy gardening and raising food. People have a lot of warm, like Eva said, there are a lot of warm memories already have been created by, like older members of the garden who are working side by side with, like say a 10-year-old who never planted a seed before and never realized that they could plant a seed in the ground and that something would come out that they could actually eat, that you don't just buy tomatoes at the store, they actually get grown and you can grow them. And so that's kind of, it's this passing of wisdom from the older generation to the younger generation, which I think in our congregation in general, that's something that we like to pay attention to. And so in the garden is another place, where that can be expressed. I think the reason why that's important for our local food system and for even on a the larger scale is that I think that in general our food system has sort of reached a crisis point. It gets expressed in obesity rates. It gets expressed in malnutrition here in the supposedly richest country on the planet, and it's important for kids to get that other lens through which to look at the world, and to know that there are ways that you can influence a system of food cultivation and distribution that is not necessarily working in people's best interests. And so this is going to farmers markets, going to the grower row, harvesting food, coming to the food pantry to help make the donation and see the look on children's faces who are getting coming out of the pantry with the food. Actually, I really like that Thursday night run because I really like to see, who's going there and getting fed well. I like seeing Janice there too. And basically, we vote. We vote with our dollars, and so like $1 that you spend at the farmer's market that goes directly to the farmer creates a lot more value in our local food economy than money that you spend buying that same head of broccoli at the supermarket after it's been shipped here from California. And you also there's a lot to be taught about nutrition and good eating. We found that a lot of things that we grow in the garden that we like to grow and that grow well here are not necessarily things that people know exactly how to prepare. So one of the things that we did this year is we started putting little simple instructions, suggestions, and I could see that project being totally expanded. Like we could get the whole temple involved in, recipes for preparing kale, recipes for preparing Swiss chard or eggplants or other things that people might not necessarily, people sometimes lose a little bit of their culture along the way, and so it would be kind of adding back some memory that's been lost. Oh, you don't just put frozen string beans in the microwave. You can actually saute them in olive oil and garlic and, have them be fresh or whatever. Well, you're just giving people more tools to make use of fresh, locally grown food that has so much higher nutrition value than what's coming out of a can or what's coming out of a TV dinner. There are whole worlds of other conversations that can be had over stuff like that in terms of our food. We plant organic seeds. We don't put any chemicals on it. I can't legally say we're certified organic, but we avoid GMO, we don't use GMO varieties. And those are, you could do a whole show just on, on that stuff. And we try. There are huge mouthfuls of things that we haven't even had a chance to work into some of our educational programs here. Yeah, this is the 4th year that we've had actually a fence to keep the critters out. Not that it's done the best job this year, but we're working on it. Going back to the idea of sending recipes in with the vegetables, I think that's one of, it addresses, it tries to repair a link intergenerationally that people may have in their families. And I would hope that it even maybe encourages them, if they can too, pick up the phone and, call their mom in Puerto Rico or their grandfather in Puerto Rico, where I know their grandparents are growing vegetables in their yards, and say, do you ever hear this vegetable? What do you, I like to, I think about those kind of, it repairs a lot of things, not just the access to nutritious food, which is important, but all those other things are important too. There's that, they used to have that phrase at the turn of the century, I think it was an old labor phrase, give us bread, but give us roses. And so I think that, yes, we have to eat, and we get nourished in a lot of different ways. And I could see, bringing some local fresh produce into people's lives and reintroducing them to, preparing fresh, could lead to them renewing other connections, in their life also. But that's hopefully not too pie in the sky, but I'm an optimist. It has an intercultural benefit, most obviously in terms of our congregation being recognized, when we walk into the food pantry, that this is something that we value, is putting our efforts and our little garden here to that use. And I think that I would hope that forges or helps to further cultivate, bonds between our congregation and other people in the community that, are of, different faiths.
So, maybe next year we could take a poll of the people in the food pantry and ask them what they would like us to plant.
What a great idea. Yeah.
And then, based on that, we would add more greens of some sort or anything else that, that we can plant in this climate. Today the climate's right, but, generally speaking. And
that's a great, I love that idea. Yeah, we can, we'll have to ask Janice how we have for some help with that. The other thing about the garden that is a little, on a more mundane level, maybe, that doesn't really, aside from all of the bigger connections, is that it's a really pleasant thing to do. We sit in offices all day long, walled off from the outside world. And I know for me personally, and I think for my colleagues here, my fellow gardeners, it's a really nice excuse to be outside and to pay attention to the rhythms of nature. I think that, and that, the cycles of agriculture actually, we're told, are really the basis for our holiday, a lot of the basis for our holiday calendar in the Jewish faith. And so, being close to what's going on in the garden is a nice reminder of those things too, that mesh really nicely. But I like, it's a very pleasant place to be, even on a hot day like this. It's a nice place to be, and it's a nice place for us to, to just be chatting. That's not like a meeting or some other, very directed activity.
The garden is important to me because of all the Jewish values that it signifies. One of them, as it says very early in the Bible, humankind is commanded to till and to tend. And that's what we're doing here. We're tilling and we're tending. We're also commanded to take care of the environment, take care of the planet. And again, what we do by bringing food from here very close by to where it's consumed is we're saving the cost of energy and the pollution of the air, which is caused by transporting food over long distances. So that's part of our environmental mandate, so to speak. We're also commanded to teach our children all about Judaism and all about Jewish ethics. And by having a multi-generational activity like this one, we teach our kids both by example and by their actually doing. We teach them what it is to grow your own food, to see the results of your labors, to get close to the earth, and do all those things that our ancestors did. We're also commanded to take care of and to watch out for the most vulnerable members of society, the people who are hungry and are poor and don't have the wherewithal or the political power or the ability to fend for themselves. So again, we're demonstrating to our kids and to each other by example exactly what it means to care for our neighbor. So there's a lot of things happening here. And additionally, it builds our own community by having pre-bar mitzvah kids working alongside great-grandparents doing the same thing and getting the same result. So we build a community that is not built through a class or through a lecture or through a program. It's built through doing things together where you can see the beginning and see the results. So there's a host of reasons why this is a good thing for the health of the temple and the community.
In Leviticus chapter 19, there's a commandment to leave the corners of your fields unharvested. This is known in Hebrew as payah, which means corners. And the idea was that the poor would not necessarily have to beg. They could come under cover of darkness to unharvested crops that were left specifically for their sustenance. They'd be able to come, harvest, and eat, and they would have a way of supporting their families even if they were too poor to buy the food that was grown there. And so, we struggle as people who are not farmers, but people who have that same commitment to making sure the poor have healthy food, to find a way to make that a reality. So this garden is in the corner of our temple property. We don't expect that poor people or strangers would come and pick the food directly. We're on a busy highway, right? Not a highway, but a road right behind me. And this is a suburban neighborhood. However, the idea remains the core of where this food goes, that this food goes to a pantry where people can, with dignity, ask for food, have healthy food for their families and their children, and it originates here in the corner of this field. So it's an important connection back to Jewish tradition. Our congregation has a strong tradition of being active in the community. So we're here to support the Jewish community, but we're also here to be an active institution of Jewish life and civic engagement throughout Teaneck and the surrounding area. And so one of those ways that we engage the area is this very inspiring partnership with the food pantry. The fact that food that we grow here goes to help our neighbors is something that's really inspiring. And I think that it not only speaks well of the temple, but it motivates the people who are here to till and to tend this field that they're able to know that that their work will literally bear fruit, and that the vegetables that grow here and the herbs and the spices, that they will have a great destination. And it's part of sort of creating an integrated system of community institutions and people supporting one another to make sure that everyone has a healthy meal on their dinner table.
We have some oak leaf lettuce that needs to be weeded. We're already getting ready for the fall here. This is, these are Brussels sprouts, these here, if the rabbits don't get them. This is kale, which actually is going to be harvested, and this is going to be in the food pantry by tomorrow night. And we had quite a bit of chard that I see the rabbits have gotten to, so we'll probably get that out of here before any more gets eaten. Probably our best crop this year are tomatoes, so we'll have probably another couple of pounds of tomatoes. Yeah, they hide. They're a little hard to find, but they're here. Oh yeah, there's 2 in here. There's 1 of 4 eggplants. There's another one hiding there. There. Oh, 2 more. Okay. I think that brings us up to 5. And then there's 2 here.
Over here as well. I can see underneath.
Yep. And this is a fig tree.
Fig tree.
And this is a really nice story. Eva came here the first year that we were planting in this space. And this is actually was taken from a cutting from, there's a fig tree apparently at the town hall in Teaneck. And every once in a while they cut the branches down, and so she took a cutting and she rooted it over the winter, and then in the spring, this is I think the third year. And we got about a dozen figs last year from this fig tree. So I will probably get maybe 20 or 2 dozen maybe even this year. They're really good. We have mint, which is terrific in lemonade. Smell, this is. These came out of the ground with a lot of dirt, you know, and you know there's some educational value, I suppose, in having people see the food with the dirt on it, but I think it's pushing the envelope a little bit, and I think that people who come and get food at the food pantry deserve to have it presented as nicely as when you go get it at the supermarket.
Today's crop of tomatoes, which look better than the tomatoes in the supermarket.
Oh, much better.
One of the differences between this garden and a lot of other community gardens is that the other community gardens are broken up into individual plots, and each gardener works on their own individual plot. There are no individual plots here. We are all work together on the same total wide garden area, working together towards the same point. There's a timer, so we only water when it makes sense, and it's hooked up to hoses that already have holes in them, so we're conserving water and only watering where there are tomato plants or garlic or
it's not like
yeah.
People you know, when our lawns there's no
sprinklers.
There's nothing going out into the air, getting just evaporated into the air. It's all going right into the ground.
Yeah, so all the water goes directly to the plants. There's no massive sprinkling and loss of water.
Now that we can water adequately, weeds are the next big problem, and now
we have also covered with Salte.
But we have Salte, right.
Salte, which also keeps the water in, and also hopefully stops
what is
the weeds.
That? What is it called?
Salte.
And what is it?
It's theoretically it's a hay that's been grown in marshes. Although I suspect that a lot of what we buy at the garden centers is actual hay that was like soaked in brine. But what that does is that it kills any of the hay seed that might be in it, so that when you use it to keep the weeds down, you're not inadvertently planting more stuff that you don't want to have come up there. So it kind of kills the fertility of whatever's in the hay.
And it also keeps the water in.
Yes.
Also,
right.
It stops the water from evaporating. We have no synthetic pesticides in the garden, herbicides, anything like that.
There are other gardens around here that would be considered community gardens. There's one right up the road that started 2 summers ago, Bergenfield. And they have a traditional community garden where each gardener has their own plot and they're growing their own vegetables. And Teaneck also has a community garden where people have their own plots, although I keep hearing about this guy Reggie who has a plot over there, and and all he does is grow vegetables for the food pantry, for the Helping Hand Food Pantry. So even in a conventional community garden, there's still opportunities, you know, for strengthening the local food system.
Joining now is Reggie and Hazel. Reggie was a full-time farmer in Virginia. Now he's putting his growing expertise to work for the Helping Hands Food Pantry. Hi, Reggie and Hazel.
Hi, Michael.
What's happening there?
I first was introduced to farming from my grandparents in Virginia. They had a 25-acre farm, and we picked cucumbers and tobacco and planted string beans, potatoes. We had a plow then. A horse was pulling it. It was back in the day. We even had a pot-belly stove. We drew water and chopped wood. So this is how I got started and interested in it. My grandparents were sharecroppers in the very beginning, and they just, farming actually is how they lived. Made their living after that. They got away from the sharecropping. And they did it for their health. That was in South Hill, Virginia, off the #1 highway. How we got started with the food pantry and the plot that goes to them, everything that we grow, we take up to Janice at the food pantry. And William Broughton, the city manager, was looking for people that wanted to work a garden. And there were 2 gardens and only 1 worker, me, because that's what I do best. And I enjoy it, I love it. It's part of my church ministry to help people. And this was a good way to do something different and to help people that need. And that's why I do it. I do it for the love of it. I just picked some things from the garden that I'm taking to the food pantry tomorrow. In fact, it's been a couple of days that I had some of it. We had to keep it in the refrigerator to keep it cold for tomorrow. There's a lot of it, and we had a good time picking. We have string beans, tomatoes, we have zucchini, yellow, and that's summer squash actually. And a number of other things. Tomorrow we're going to pick some collard greens, and I hope to see some later on in this film. And some other things that were out there. The heirlooms, and we have a yellow harvest, we have Cherokee purple, we have some red tomatoes, celebrity. There's a variety, beefsteak, but all kinds. Some of them are ripe, some of them haven't ripened yet. We put them in the windowsill and wait for them to ripen so the groundhogs don't get a chance to eat them. I started doing this garden that I have right here, I'd say 30 years ago. And at that time, it wasn't as large as it is now. I actually have 2 gardens here. And it came because I enjoy doing it. And we love to eat the fresh vegetables. There's no whole lot of pesticides on them and insect sprays. It's pure, it's organic, and there's nothing like it. I enjoy it, it's very relaxing. But first, let me introduce you to my wife and let her show you what else grew out of this garden.
All right. Oh, this is a wonderful outreach project to the community. I went to Janice and I said, Janice, what can we do for you that would help your Helping Hands Pantry? And she said, Hazel, it would be wonderful if we did something for the children. And I said, great idea. How can we help? And Janet told us the items we needed to get together for the children who are home during the summer, who are serviced by the pantry. And lo and behold, our life group said, we're going to do it. And what happened? Voila. We have 41 beautiful bags that were done. The artwork was done by Slocum Skews, that's a hard word, Slocum Skews School in Ridgefield. And they volunteered to decorate the bags, and inside of them was filled with so many goodies for children. Cereal, milk, fruit snacks, everything that's healthy you can think of, applesauce, Oh my goodness. And we have been so happy with the results and everyone who donated. And we're hoping that when we drop all of these bags off, those who receive it will be just as pleased. This connection is so important because we are all looking out for one another. There are those of us who are less fortunate than us that we should be looking out for. And an easy way to get involved is through your local food pantry. And from your local food pantry, who knows what happens? We got input from a school system, we've got input from people outside, we've got input from churches. So it's a wonderful idea that if you're looking for some place to start, check your local food pantry. Actually, to tell the truth from the beginning, we had a connection with the food pantry, and it was my husband's idea to grow things from this beautiful garden and the garden that we have at the Teaneck Community Garden Center, to grow food and take it down to them. He said, you know what? I have such a beautiful overflow of bumper crop in food. Why not share it? And it was his idea to go to the food pantry. And once we got there and saw the wonderful work that they were doing, that Janice and her crew of volunteers, students and staff alike were doing, we thought, well, gee, wouldn't it be nice to try another way to get involved with them? Couldn't we sort of reach out to other people to get involved with them? And that's what happened. And our church said, yes, we have a life group that was looking for a project to work on, and the food pantry project that Janice recommended was a wonderful, wonderful start for us. Actually, this project is easy to do because people are more than willing to donate food. We asked the members of our church and members of the community, when you go to the grocery store, would you mind just picking up an extra box of juice or an extra box of cereal or an extra fruit snack? Most people were more than willing to go and get something and bring. In fact, we were having donations after the time ended because people would say, oh, I wanted to donate some food, I forgot. Let me run to the store, please wait for me. So it is a very easy project to get involved in. This project means a lot to us, not only as a church life group, but it means a lot that we are giving and we're doing our part. More people nowadays need to get together and do their part. There are a lot of people out there who are needy. This is only one aspect. There are many aspects in getting involved in your community out there. If you just look for it, you'll find them. And the people who are receiving on the receiving end are usually so grateful and so happy. Don't feel like, oh, I'm embarrassed, because that's not the case. People are happy and willing and needful of your help and your support.
Okay, before I take you over to the other gardens, I want to show you what I got over here. Come on, follow me. I've been having trouble with these critters. They tried to get into the garden. I had, what do you call them, deer and groundhogs all in here. Right here you see collard greens are growing. These were slips, but they got big. Slips are beginning plants. You usually start with them instead of using seeds. But those are the collard greens that got a while ago. These are tomatoes that came up by themselves. No help. One of them came through the blocks. Look down close. You'll see where it came up. These are cherry tomatoes. They came up through the cinder block. Well, they're not really cinder block, but they are blocks from last year. I didn't have to plant them. These are cherry tomatoes. And over here, I don't know if you can see them good, but these also came up without much help. Here we have some peppers. These are bell peppers. I'll let you see one. They're not up yet, but they're tougher to grow. I'll show you a little trick I use though. And over here, you try one of these when you finish filming. This is my wife like these. They're grape tomatoes. Very good. You're going to enjoy those. And down in here, this is what the Koreans call this. We call it Cherokee purple. It's a little bit different color. And the Koreans say that it's good for municipal purposes. It's a medicine tomato. Tomato, yeah. All right. Coming further down here, we have some more Cherokee tomatoes. And on the other side, we'll walk over here. Don't worry about stepping on them. They'll come back. It's kind of tight. Over here, we have our cucumber vines. And they run wild, so I put the fence up. It helps to keep them from getting outside, choking out everything, because they'll climb on anything. I don't think we have too many on here yet. I just put them in recently. And down here, I just started growing. These are giant beets. They're called long season. I couldn't find the seeds for a long time. I just grow them to give them away and to show them off, because they grow up to 9 pounds. And when they get done, they're pretty good. And this is my favorite plant. This is a bell pepper plant. I find they grow better in a pot than they do outside. I gave one to my wife's brother 4 years ago. He took it home and it's still living. Every year he takes it out, grows the bell peppers, takes it back in the wintertime. So I'm gonna do it myself. The same thing, I'm gonna keep this, bring it inside, next year it'll be ready to go. Okay, let me take you right now over to the gardens where we grow the Helping Hands Food Pantry vegetables. Here we are at the Teaneck Community Gardens, where we grow food for the Helping Hands Food Pantry. Let me show you around. I'm gonna show you first what my garden is. No, the Helping Hands Food Pantry garden. I call all of it mine. All right, okay. This is like a 16 by 16 plot. And there are 100 of them, 100 of them out here. And each gardener has a 16 by 16 plot. Right here, you're looking at some zucchini. You might have seen some earlier in the basket we're taking over. I just picked these, so you won't see any green ones in here right now. Oh, wait a minute, a surprise hidden out. Okay, normally we don't allow these to grow this large. I don't know how it was hiding down there. I didn't see it this morning when we were picking. But there it is, zucchini. When they get this large, there are a lot of people have a lot of different recipes for it. The one my wife uses most is to make zucchini bread, and we love it. Also, they're loaded with seeds. And if this was to grow really large where it would not be good for anything, you could use the seeds for it. Dry them out and you can use them next year. Okay, along here, you see this fence? It's not really a fence, it's a trellis. And these are cucumber vines running up the trellis, and there's some cucumbers in here. I didn't see this morning, there's one over there I missed. And there's a couple of more along here, but I can't see them. I don't think the groundhog got them. There goes another one right there. They blend in. But this fence is, I have it set, and you won't see another one like it. I sent it away to Stokes, and they mailed it to me. This keeps the rabbits out. This little net fence on here, it helps a lot. Rabbits and the groundhog, it slow him down. So far, I haven't had a problem with them. This is yellow summer squash here. There's a baby one. Like I said, I picked them off this morning. And the cucumber plant is running all up into the, let me tell you something about these cucumbers. I didn't ever know about growing before this year. They seem to want to go towards the shade, out of the sun. I had them all in the sun here, and they all start running the opposite direction of what I set up for them. So now I know. Make sure they go towards the shade if you want better cucumbers. Bell peppers over here, they're another tough one to grow. And this is all the food pantry, a garden. Everything coming out of here is going up there. On the vines, you'll see, you can zoom in on them. I learned a little trick about the vines, growing the plants this year. I'm gonna get over in here. If you look at the tomato plant, from there up, the vines are gone. I mean, the leaves are gone. I was told by an Asian fellow over here in the other garden, I better not use his name because I'm not sure that's allowed. Anyway, he said if you cut the bottom leaves off, you'll get all the energy, he called it, going up to the main stalk. And you want that to be tough. So that's something you can use. I'm using it this year in an experiment, and it seems to be working. I'm getting more fruit. I've done a lot of picking over out here already. Now this is an heirloom tomato too, and I think it's a harvest yellow because it's changing yellow already, starting to turn. Some more cherry tomatoes. And I think this crop is going to end quick this year. They're starting to turn earlier than they usually turn. And this row here, they're going to be picked tomorrow morning. These are collard green leaves. Our family, and my wife in particular, refuses to eat the collard greens until the frost hits them. Very, very tender once the frost hits them. And she can put something on them too, let me tell you. Good stuff. Okay, yeah, there's some yellow squash coming up over here I missed this morning. I don't know if you can zoom in and see that. But there's actually 3 in one bunch. It's been a very, very, very good year for zucchini and yellow squash. Let me tell you something about that too. If you don't look on these leaves in this particular area and check them out for what we call the squash bug, an ugly little critter about yay big, the plant will be gone in 2 or 3 days. They drop eggs of about 40 or 50 eggs on each leaf. And once they develop, it looks like little spiders running around. And they just destroy it. You come back and it's all dried up. I've been catching them and saving them, so these plants have done very well.
And they call them squash bugs?
Squash. I don't know because they are squash, but yeah, that's how I get them. I see them and squeeze them right on the plant. I didn't know you knew that. That's exactly how you get them.
Very good. What else we got?
Now this is my garden. And I'll call them all my garden because a lot of this stuff will go to the food pantry also. My wife gets tired of cooking this stuff long before the end of the season. And I don't cook. So when I come out here and the stuff, I'm right up to the food pantry, Helping Hands food pantry. I haven't gone to any place else because I can only handle one. If I could, I'd do all of this. Just can't do it. I'm getting old. But over here in this garden, we have the same type of things that in the other one. I don't have anything special going on here or different. These are string bean plants up in the front. I think these are the ones I picked this morning. They hide on you. There's a couple there. But it was loaded this morning with them. Yeah, there's some bigger ones. Now, this is a flower. And the seeds, that's called a rooster tail. And the seeds on that thing just plant wherever they land all the time. Yeah, that's it.
Is this the same thing?
Yes, this is the same thing. We call them rooster tails because they look like on the farm, they look like the rooster's tail. And then they have what they call a rooster cone. The rooster cone looks like the head of a rooster. That's how we do it down south. I don't know what they call it. I don't know what that name is.
Are they edible flowers?
No. There's some look like that here. This one over here.
Show me a pepper.
The East Indians love them. Yeah, these are the bell peppers. The hot peppers are along here too. Yeah, and jalapeno and chili peppers. I picked some this morning. And you can take these home, see if you like them. Jalapeno, and then you have the chili pepper right here. Do you want to hold those?
And you made a nice trellis over here too or something, right?
No, that's the next garden. That's the beginning of the next garden. These are more collard greens here. And I'll be picking them tomorrow morning, because we go at 11 o'clock.
That's going to go to the food pantry?
That'll go to the food pantry. Okay, now that you've seen the garden and see it growing, and just imagine tomorrow, we're going to take this up to the Helping Hands Food Pantry, where there'll be some happy folks. When we go up there, oftentimes there are people waiting when we get there, and when they see us, they attack. Very, very happy and excited about it. And we're just hoping they'll enjoy themselves. Some of the farmers here that actually contribute, and they come and see me, and they make a contribution. And there's one particular lady, her name is, can't use the name, but she, every year, goes on vacation. And she lets me know when she's going, and when she goes, she pick anything you want. And believe me, sometimes there are more than I can pick and take out of her garden. And I really thank her a lot for it. There are others that will come over and do the same, but nothing like the one I'm talking about. The stuff I just told you about goes to the Helping Hands Food Pantry. And there are others that bring stuff over here all the time. And I just throw it in the basket with the rest of the food. I have 100 plots here, and every plot is 16 by 16. And if we can get more people contributing, it would be a blessing. And they would be rewarded greatly. We really, actually, we don't have too many plots, but we do have a plot that's available. And you can sign up at City Hall anytime. And if you could sign up and get the plot, you can come help us out at the Helping Hands Food Pantry. This is all part of the same garden area. They just have theirs fenced in because they were doing a little bit of different kind of construction. It's just an extension. We're allowed to pull this up and come on in. Watch your step here. This is a friend of mine's too. This is another one. She this year contributed, I think, 4 or 5 tomato plants and some collard green seeds. And okra, in fact. I didn't show you the okra. I missed the garden, another one that I'm working. But this is a good friend, and she also will contribute some. That's collard greens right there. She'll contribute again this year because she has an abundance. But very willing. Oh, and this is the plot I was talking about. And I've never seen nobody grow more tomatoes than I've seen grow here. There's a bunch in here now. And what she just told me, it wasn't the good news. She said, Reggie, today, she said, I'm not going away this year, I'll be here. But she said she'd contribute anyway. And the reason this work is very important to me, it's not work to me, it's a joy. Because I'm helping people that need, that don't have as much as I have. And when I was young, I didn't have much at all. We were on welfare. So I know what it's like trying to raise a family. This is all part of it, and I know what it's like to be hungry. I've had friends that were hungry. A lot of them really struggled. And if I can help one kid or one adult, anybody that's hungry, they shouldn't be hungry. They shouldn't have to be, not with all this food we have growing here. And sometimes at the end of the season, I see stuff still laying on the ground. I pick it up, put it in my car, and take it on up there. And I love it. I love getting down on my knees. And sometimes I pray over my garden every year. I said, God, let this be abundance so that we all may fill up on your food and your blessings. And I notice it grows well. Every year it gets better and better. The best fertilizer in the world is the blessing from God, and it will continue to grow without my help. I have a garden down here. This family got sick. I say the family because family members got sick, and they really wanted to keep the garden, but you're not allowed to keep it if you don't work it. So they gave me a call and asked me would I help them out. So I ended up with another garden. So I told them they can take anything they want out of the garden, and whatever they don't, I'm taking up to the food pantry. And they pretty much said take it all. So this is a blessing too. Make up for the one over there. See how God works? Yeah. And this is it right here. And we do have something we didn't show before. This is okra. I don't eat okra. There's a lot of people that like it. And some collard greens here. We got peppers over here. This was a late garden. It got started very late because I didn't know what was going to do it. And right along here to some tomatoes. And there's some heirlooms in there. The toughest part that gives me a problem is the weeding. But I have a friend, a neighbor, that comes over, and actually he weeded that area, the okra. There's so many weeds down here that you need help. I found some black paper that's designed to keep the weeds down, and I use it between the plants. And if I have an area that's already done, I put a piece of blacktop over it. And it's great. I mean, everybody needs it this year. It's the worst I've seen the weeds. I used to do my plants that way. Cut a little X in it, put the plant in it, and you're in good shape. And I think I'm gonna go back to that next year. Yeah, I picked one, and there's another one here. It's just a small one. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, I'm on it.
Okay.
You can leave it.
Okay.
Great. Nice. It's healthy stuff.
I tell you, there's nothing like it. Smells great. You can't beat it. You can eat these raw. That's how you do it, all of this stuff. And you should see it when it's not hot like this. All nationalities, all over this place. And they all get along well almost all. But it's beautiful.
So it's truly a community garden.
It's truly a community garden. No question about it. There are different formulas. You know, some people come here with vinegar and say that might help. There are different things they use. But I use my flowers, the geraniums. We're not allowed to grow too many flowers, but we're allowed to grow geraniums because they keep the deer away, they keep the bugs away. Except for the rabbits I've seen eating them, they're supposed to keep them away, but I have seen rabbits eat them. But that's one of the main ones I use. See the yellow squash? I don't know how many I got out of here.
Nice.
In the past, I wouldn't have got very many.
Very nice.
Anyone interested in taking that one plot that we have, you can go down to the city hall and apply for it. Or check their website. See, if you leave these too long, they're gonna be rough. They'll be tough. See, they're all up here, hid up in the tomato plant. There's a lot of them in here.
So much.
Yeah, but in the morning I'll come back and get them. They'll be ready. And across the street we have the Teaneck Garden Club. And to work over there, you need to put in 3 hours a week working it for the city. They grow flowers and they have a flower sale there. It's a beautiful thing. And they teach classes there. They have elementary school kids come over. For more information, you can go to the Teaneck website. From the farm to the plate. You've seen it grow. You know what it looks like, and you can smell it, and pretty soon you'll be able to taste it. My man, okay.
Well, that's great. Thank you all for all that you do there, growing fresh produce for the Helping Hands Food Pantry. It's really a fine example of community working together.